Hi, this is Andrew.
And this is Tanya from Magic Travel Blog. Oh, and Zoe too, but she's sleeping.
It's been almost 2 years since we last did one of these, so I figured it was about time that we'd let you all know what we've been up to. Forgive us if this is a little bit chaotic. We've got a lot of ground to cover, obviously. Also, back in 2011, when we first started travelling, we were on a bit of a mission to travel from Malaysia to Japan without flying and going through every country along the way. But since then, we've sort of stopped doing that, so we tend to just bounce around wherever the wind takes us, so forgive us if it's a little bit unstructured. Last time we spoke, we were sitting in Chiang Mai airport about to fly back to Australia. We flew home and did 2 house sits, one in the city, one in the country. They were 1 to 2 months each. It was nice to do some house sitting back in Australia.
It certainly was. And then we decided to go to Bali. It's close to home, and decided to try and find our home base. Didn't really work too well finding a home, but it's under construction still, I guess we could call it. Yeah.
Just because it's so close to Australia, Bali's still an attractive place.
Yep.
We just haven't found a spot that works for us.
Then we went to Singapore for our first house sit in Singapore, and that was fantastic. Singapore's an amazing place. It's still Asian, but Western, and cheap food, very expensive accommodation. But yeah, brilliantly awesome.
Yeah, which is why you'd want to house sit there.
Yes. And then we went on our first cruise, a Royal Caribbean cruise. Oh my goodness. Wrote about that a lot. We will link to that one because I just loved it.
Oh yeah, I should say we've written blog posts about a lot of this stuff, so there'll be a ton of links in the description for this.
Yeah. Then, what did we do?
After that we caught the train up to Kuala Lumpur.
That's right.
Weren't there for very long, but long enough to go to a dining in the dark restaurant where you're in a completely blacked out room. That was a really interesting experience.
It really was. I mean, yeah. Everyone should go to dining in the dark.
And if you're going to go, I think the one in KL is one of the cheaper ones out there. They tend to be very expensive restaurants. Then we actually came back to Australia. Again, we did another 2 house sits. One in Perth, one sort of out in the country, little. Again, sort of 1 to 2 months each. Before we flew back to Thailand. Man, we bounce around a lot. We went to a thing called Digital Innovation Asia, which is like a travel conference kind of thing in Bangkok. That was really interesting. Meet a lot of travel companies, other travel bloggers. Before we went back to Singapore to do another house sit.
Flower power!
Flower was the name of the cat we were looking after, by the way.
We ate a lot of Booger Street chicken rice, the best chicken rice in the world. And that was out in Bishan.
Bishan.
Yeah. So, highly recommended.
And while we were there, Tanya's mum and dad were passing through Singapore. So we were able to spend a few days hanging out with them, which was actually really good being tourists with them. They sort of motivated us to go and do some stuff.
Yep.
Otherwise, we tend to be a bit lazy.
No. What museums?
And after our sit there, we went back to Chiang Mai.
Sorry, it's funny because we're always in Chiang Mai.
Yeah,
anyway.
We're not going places, we're travelling in a loop. Almost.
We are.
We went back to our favourite dentist. Tanya needed some more work. We're on first name basis with the dentist there now.
Yes. While we were there,
that's where we actually found out we were pregnant, which
Woohoo!
is our big news for this year, I suppose, or this podcast, whatever this is. What did we spend? 2 months there, maybe 3 months, something like that. Before going back to KL, we had some sort of medical dramas, so we needed to go home. We stopped in KL just to break up the flight, just because the long flight wasn't recommended for Tanya at that time. I won't go into the specifics. And then we headed back to Perth to get Tanya checked out. After a few weeks...
We had the A-OK, we should say.
Yeah, after a few weeks we got the green light to do whatever we wanted.
Yep. And we flew to Phuket and jumped in our cruise back to Perth, which is what we were going to do originally. That's how we were getting back to Perth.
Yeah, we were originally meant to catch a cruise ship back from Thailand to Perth, but instead we flew back, went to the doctors, and then flew back to Thailand to catch the cruise ship back to Perth, which was all a bit circular, but we'd already paid for this cruise and we really didn't want to give up on it. We had a very nice time, going on this cruise from Thailand via Bali back to Perth. Gave us some nice time to relax before we had to have a baby. We came back to Perth, did another house sit, which was very nice actually. A very friendly dog. And then our apartment, the apartment we own in Perth, that's usually rented out, it needed some work, been rented out for a few years, so we briefly took the apartment back to do some renovations. Although she was quite pregnant at this point, Tanya could still use the tools. And
I did find out though that I shouldn't do any painting while I'm pregnant. It's just not my best thing to do. Oh well.
There was some extra work made there, but it all got done in the end. And then, of course, once all the renovations were done, we actually had our baby.
Yay! Zoe came into our life.
Our darling daughter, Zoe.
She's pretty awesome.
The next few months after that sort of passed in a bit of a blur of just sort of learning to be parents. During that time, Tanya really perfected the art of online shopping.
Yes. That's all I have to say, yes.
Not actually really a lot to report from that time because we were just in a cycle of feeding and sleeping and changing nappies. Eventually, though, we sort of got the hang of it enough that we felt like we could go back overseas. So our first stop was a week back in Bangkok at a very nice hotel, the Amari Watergate?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so. Yeah, very nice place anyway. We splashed out a bit just because it was our first stop with the baby. And then we went and spent a month in Edinburgh, which is a very long flight with a baby. There we caught up with a whole bunch of friends and family. Edinburgh's a beautiful city. Very cold though.
Very cold.
We caught the train south down to London. Also spent a month in London, which is also very cold.
And wet.
And expensive.
Yes.
So I don't know if I really recommend London particularly. And after that, we wanted something slightly warmer and slightly cheaper. So we're in Barcelona at the moment. We've been
drinking our cava.
Yeah, it's actually New Year's Eve right at the moment, so we're drinking champagne. We've been in Barcelona for a month. We have 2 more months here. So it's 3 months total just in Barcelona. We're getting a bit slack. Moving around with the baby is quite difficult, so we're happy to spend bigger blocks of time in places, which also means we get to really get to know them, which has been very nice.
I think we should point out that we are here in Barcelona for 3 months, but we do actually have 3 different places, 3 different areas of Barcelona to experience, and that's important.
Yeah, so we've got 3 different apartments, each for 1 month. Just different areas of the city.
Love Airbnb.
Yes, very handy. After Barcelona, we're flying back to KL. We've got a month there, another Airbnb place actually. This whole stretch actually is going to be, I think, about 6 months of continuous Airbnb. After our month in KL, we're going back to Australia. See the family, so all of our parents can see Zoe again, of course. And after that, we're not entirely sure. We've got rough ideas for 2015.
Yeah, we have agreed to go back to Singapore again to do another house sit, to see Flower Power, the 3-legged awesome cat. So that's for about 6 weeks in the middle of the year. And then after that, who knows?
I think we've probably babbled on long enough. We'll be sure to keep you updated on everything we do. Keep, subscribe to the website, and then you'll get all of our new posts.
I am starting to write again. I did have a long hiatus?
Yep.
From writing. I just couldn't, being pregnant and then having a baby, it was just all too much. But yeah, back on board.
All right. So I hope you're having a wonderful New Year's Eve, wherever you are.
Cheers from Spain.